What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Zack ROI Williams with my man Chris. Uh, so, for those of you who are watching who don't know, never seen one of these calls, I treat this, even though I know Chris, my boy's on the page. He's one of my VIP members. Dude's a savage. A great dude to know. We talk damn near every day inside the VIP group chat, but I'm going to pretend like I don't know who he is and I don't know what his business is, so that I can show you guys how I would consult a client that I just, signed up for some, fractional consulting. But so without further ado, Chris, tell them who you are, what you do, and let's get into this, man.
What's up, Zach? Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it, man. My name is Chris Tart. I'm from Jersey, live right outside Manhattan. I own and operate a real estate team. So we sell a lot of properties. We sell, we represent buyers, sellers, investors. We do a little bit of building and flipping, and we're getting into personal branding and sales coaching and that type of stuff next. So it's exciting to be here, man.
That's awesome, bro. That's awesome. I love it. So typically when I consult clients, I want to come in and figure out two verticals. Like, what are the things that you can do all day, every day, blindfolded with your hands tied behind your back? That's the shit that you do in your organization that keeps the lights on. You can just do 100 of these deals a day or a month or whatever the case is. And then we also look at, like, what are your whales, right? Like, what is if you could land one of these a month or one of these every 6 months or one a year or whatever the case is, what does that badass deal look like? What's that dream unicorn client or anything like that? Because the thing about unicorns, bro, is they're out there. You just got to find them. So we kind of look at two different options. And typically that kind of leads me down which path to push you down, right? Does that mean that we create some rinse and repeat SOPs and strategies and scale your day-to-day operations so that we can free up some of Chris's time to go unicorn hunting? And what does that look like? And then we'll get into something a little bit later. One of my big things is, like, don't buy the milk, buy the cow. So we kind of go look for a little bit more strategically when we are talking about those day-to-day operations. How can we land more and more and more of those with doing, without sounding any type of way, less and less of the actual work. So anyways, what's your day-to-day? Like, what is the thing that you and your team crush all day long? And then what would be like that rock star closed deal?
So what we crush all day long is we prospect and go out hunting for business, and these are single transaction deals. We call and see if you want to sell your house, and then we call and look for buyers for that same house, so we match up the buyers and the sellers, and that's what we do all day long. And we could do 100 of those a year. Our goal is 100 this year. So we're probably on pace to hit just that goal. And then, so we do that every day: prospecting, cold calling, door knocking, all the old school shit that I think people overlook in this business. That's what we're doing every single day. And the whale that we look for is, and I have a couple of these clients that I service myself. These are the guys that got the big cash account. They're going out, and I'm finding them distressed properties, beat down properties that they're going to either buy and flip, to the tune of 10 or 15 of those a year, or we're going to buy, add value, hold, and rent them. And then I got a constant rental portfolio of stuff that I'm putting out there, renting for these people. So those are my two pillars of really, like, the day-to-day as far as the focus on the real estate team. That's the day-to-day, and then that's the unicorn that we look at. We look to capture. We can land a couple of those a year. Over a few years, you got a big machine just running in the background.
Yeah, no, 100%. So as far as the real estate department, what are y'all where are y'all actually focused on? Like, are y'all hyper focused on specific areas, or what does that look like as far as y'all's target market?
Yeah, so we are pretty, my team's spread out to basically the northern half of New Jersey, but where I live, we have more agents locally where I am. So we're focused on, like, basically about 3 counties around me, which is probably about 100,000 people. Okay. 60, 70,000 homes or something like that. So that's where we focus most of our effort, is right there. And my own personal business is even more local. It's spread out about 5 or 6 towns. So that's how where we are. that's how I grow business and build the relationships, is become that brand name, super local, the guy that everybody wants to call. You know, they got to sell their house, they got to move, whatever the situation is, they know you.
Yeah, absolutely, man. One of the things that like we deal a lot with real estate when we're consulting them, and even home services space, roofing, solar, HVAC, we deal a lot in that space. And a lot of the things that we found ourselves pretty consistently having to recorrect offers is, instead of being like, oh, New Jersey or whatever, we're your number one real estate team, we're getting super hyper focused and speaking to these communities themselves, these neighborhoods, right? I mean, these neighborhoods have specific names. Like, for example, we're in Sherwood Forest here. So instead of a real estate company, that if I was working with one here, instead of being like, Baton Rouge, we're your number one real estate broker or whatever, it's like, hey, Sherwood Forest, we're your local trusted, real estate professionals. We start, establishing some strategies there. One of the things that we've seen a lot of success with in the past in real estate as well as home service space is actually like getting really intricate and buying into some of these neighborhoods, specifically establishing relationships with the HOAs, getting creating opportunities to put a name and a face, whether that be block party situations, sponsorships to local events that they're hosting inside those neighborhoods. Because a lot of times when we get down to start consulting clients like yourself, there's a discussion on, yeah, we would like to make you money too, but then there's also a demographic of like, man, some clients are just assholes, right? And if we can pinpoint like specific neighborhoods, like maybe you don't want to deal with that. So like, I always recommend, the typical marketer says or thinks that good marketing is just, attracting the right client, or in your case, attracting the right buyer or the right seller. But I also think that equally as important, it should be repelling the wrong client, right? So a lot of that's going to come down into the overall messaging, the overall marketing strategy, and the overall offer that we would create or generate for you and your agency. One of the things I'd like to look at, I mean, let's be honest, bro. I think everyone has a fucking real estate license these days, right? Like,
Yeah, bro.
so like, what is it that your organization or even Chris specifically is able to bring to the table that y'all are not seeing as being like a common denominator in some of your competitors?
So, number one, you're right about that. In New Jersey, there's 80,000 realtors. It's fucking insane. That's just our state. Um, so really, when I'm talking to a client, what I explain is there's a difference with how people market and how people connect. Most people don't do the prospecting that we do. Most agents, as a matter of fact, probably 95 or more percent don't go out and actually hunt for people. We do things like you said. We hold events, we shake hands, we network. We actually want to meet the neighborhoods. And that being said, I bring up a lot of time um, the audience on social media that I have, and the reach that we have, and the impressions that people see every week, because it's a direct correlation to where my buyers come from. I get a lot of eyes on me and the team, and it's not all real estate related in content, but it brings the people to the table and they reach out to me. I do a tremendous amount of business from generating leads online, non-paid organic leads. People reach out because they want to know, like, and trust you, and they want to do business with you. So you kind of tout that when I go in and I meet these potential clients or clients, and they like that. They see that there's a reach there, and there's eyes on me, and there's eyes on the team. And once you explain to them the benefit to that, they understand that that's who they need to work with. So
No,
we kind of,
sure.
we kind of push that. And where I am, we have an advantage because a lot of the realtors here are. They're not up on that, and they don't think it's of a great value to have that audience or that presence.
Right. No, for sure. No, that's good. I mean, I kind of joke with realtors half the time, it's always fun to pick on realtors because you'll always get a majority of them that laugh, and then it's like that 10% that don't and get pissed off, and I'm like, you're the one you're the ones that are ruining the industry
Right.
for everyone. So I like to pick fun, but in all honesty, like I don't know if this allows the opportunity to create market separation or not. But, one of the big things that I like to focus on is you and I are sitting here joking about how many people have their real estate license or claim that they're realtors and stuff like that. And, I can't remember the exact statistics, and I'm sure that you would be more knowledgeable on this, but it's something along the lines of like the top 10% in the real estate game do 90% of the volume. It's something pretty, it's a gross number like that. And a lot of times everyone wants to deal with a professional. Let's just be honest. Like no one wants to take their car to a shady mechanic. No one wants to go to a backdoor dentist. Like, the list goes on. And the statistic, I don't know if it's changed any, but statistically in the past, the people's number one largest expense or investment, whatever you want to call it, is their home. The second is what they do to their homes, right? So like it's up there. So
Yeah.
you would take into consideration, if you look at those statistics, you would think that typically most people would want to work with a professional when it comes to the most expensive thing that they're ever going to purchase in their life. So, how do we start establishing your expertise or your agent's expertise inside of their industry or inside of their niche when we claim to start, hyper focusing on specific neighborhoods or specific geographical areas? And mind you, when I talk with realtors, or honestly, when I talk to most business owners, when I start taking into consideration niching down or getting hyper specific on specific locations, what be it, or industries or niches or verticals or whatever you want to call it, that doesn't mean that you can't service the others. It's just the messaging and the strategy of it. So again, going back to, really, really marketing yourself, especially, and this comes down to when we're mainly discussing like paid advertisements and stuff like that, whether that be Google PPC, whether that be paid advertisements, things of that nature, is I could run an ad in Sherwood Forest where I live and say, hey, Sherwood, we're your local trusted realtors. And that could be true based on statistics that I pulled from my previous clientele in that neighborhood and utilizing specific verbiage and language that came from them, where it's not like an altered, lie or anything like that, and remarket that to that neighborhood. Because now, let's be real, everyone is a fucking realtor. We've already established that. So when we are sitting here saying like, oh, we do this, we do this, we do this, we're having to cut through a lot. And let's not get, I'm very data driven. So I like using statistics in my marketing. So let's just say, for example, I know in the past, like, we all know that an average loan is, 15-year or 30-year, or God forbid, let's discuss this new 40-year loan. We're not going to talk about that garbage, so there was that. And then, statistically, I know in the past, it was like something like the average home purchase, someone stays in that home for like 15 years. And then I don't know the number. It's like gone down and down and down. So typically when you would use like verbiage, like, oh, it's the one purchase you'll ever make in your life, this, that, whatever. And we would get into some discussion there. But my point is, people aren't buying homes like they're going to the grocery store. They're not buying homes like they're buying t-shirts. Like this is typically, I would imagine that an average client, non-investor related, is like a 1 or a 1 point something that they've purchased through a specific realtor. I would say on average. I haven't done the research, but I would assume that like your clients, maybe some of them have bought 2 or 3 homes, but I'd say the majority of them have probably only bought from you once or sold from you once because they're in it for X amount of years. So with that in consideration, you're doing a whole fucking lot of work to get a general market to learn to know, like, and trust Chris to only purchase through them one single time. That's a lot of work to get them to know, like, and trust you. versus we can actually maximize the fact that they potentially know, like, and trust their neighbors. So when we start pushing more of the messaging, no one gives a fuck about Chris, right? Like if Chris can get me a lower interest rate, and can negotiate a little bit better for me, yeah, obviously we care about that, but we got to get the opportunity to even have that conversation, right? So potentially remarketing to specific neighborhoods for people that already know, like, and trust their neighbors, or at least start to recognize these houses. So for example, when we come in and help realtors, and home service based companies market, we're penetrating specific neighborhoods, utilizing previous clients in that neighborhood. Because again, no one really cares about Chris. At the end of the day, I'm going to have to deal with you for a total of 2 weeks out of my entire life. Once I'm done with you, I'm done with you. Obviously, we could sit here and talk about that all day long, but you get what I'm saying. But now all of a sudden, all the marketing's talking about this insane experience the Williams just had. That's the corner house with the orange shutters and the big truck that sits out front. They're like, damn, and let's, we could probably argue, I would say back when I was growing up, we knew all of our neighbors. Now I think I only know one of my neighbors, and shame on me, but I would say that statistics is pretty close to saying that many people don't not necessarily know them on a first name basis. Some do. This last house we looked at, dude, the neighbors from not only both sides of us, but down the street came and started interrogating us because they wanted to know who was moving into the house, into their community. Because they loved the people that were in the house previously, but this is their community. So maybe there is some, and maybe those are the areas that you start focusing on. But now they may not know me 100%, but they're like, damn, like, the Williamses, they seem like they're somewhat put together. It looks like they take care of their shit. It takes, and so I'm sure that they did their due diligence when they were doing business with this Chris guy. So maybe it's at least worth the conversation for me to ask Chris, to have a conversation with Chris, and or get in contact with the Williamses to get their perspective. So now I'm not saying, if I come in like, hey, let's start hyper focusing on Sherwood Forest, I'm not saying that means we can't market to other places, but the marketing is going to be specific in the Sherwood Forest neighborhood than it is in the Broadmoor neighborhood, than it is in the Ascension Parrot. Like we start breaking this down and speaking specifically to these people, because the average person sees 4,000 to 10,000 ads per fucking day. Now, obviously that comes into billboards and social media advertisements or flyers you get in the mail. Everything goes into that number, but that's a fucking ton. And what we're doing is we're teaching people to subconsciously ignore these advertisements. So now you've got to find a way to break through that noise. So for me, saying an advertisement that says Baton Rouge anything, such a broad blanketed statement, my mind has already skipped past that. But if I'm flipping through and all of a sudden I see something about Sherwood Forest or Major Oak Road, I'm like, hold up, what? That's what? That's me. This is relevant to me. Shit that happens in Baton Rouge ain't relevant to me. It's a massive city. I don't give a fuck. But now you start speaking specifically to me and my livelihood and where I live and where I raise my daughter and where my wife lives. Now I'm like, okay, what are we talking about here? Even if it's just a quick glance. Now, going back to messaging specifically, you must be getting a phone call.
There you go.
No, you're good, man. You're good. I'm just going to keep talking. So specifically, we start looking at, strategies based on your offer, right? I don't know your industry specifically, but a blanketed consumer market analysis says that 3% of your market is going to be interested in what you have to offer off the jump. That means 97% of the people that you're talking to genuinely don't give a fuck. What I mean by that is if you were to come out and say, hey, are you ready to buy your house? And you asked 100 people that, 3 people are going to be interested. That's it. Same thing if you ask, hey, are you interested in selling your house? 3 people. All right. So you make 2 offers, you now have 6 people. That's it. And that's if those people you talk about, a lot of yours comes from organic strategy. That means those 3 people need to have even seen the offer to even consider taking you up on it.
Right.
Versus you start changing some of your offers or some of your strategy or what some of your pitch says, you know. And so again, going to like, if we had even more time, or this was going to be something that I would be bringing you on as a client, what we would eventually, and we'll kind of dabble in it just to cover it, is we would start to dive into why are people buying homes from you, right? You know, when I speak in front of realtors, it's funny because I'll start to ask people. I go through like my why phase, and I think it's 7 times. If you ask someone why, you can like Google it. It's like the 7 whys, but it's a strategy on like, if you ask someone why like 7 times, you can get to the root of the problem. So for example, it's like, you know, you got these realtors out there that are always like, oh, come check out this 3,500 square foot home with, you know, 4 bedrooms and 2 baths and a 2-car garage. No one really gives a fuck about that. You start finding out the true reason why this person bought this house. It might be to get out of an abusive relationship. It might be to get some actual security because they feel like all they've done is bounced around from apartment life to rental to slumlord, this, that, whatever. Or, you know, they just had a kid and now they want to get into a good school zone. You start breaking down into really why people are buying. And then that starts changing your offer. Not only that, you can start you know, looking at some strategies in your organic and paid advertisements to either hit some of those pain points that they're having or help showcase them pleasure that buying a home can present. You know, it's like, you know, and I don't want to get into, I see both sides of it, and I think the strategies make sense depending on specific people and where they are. You know, hey, well, interest rate's 7% right now. I'm just making that number up. Well, yeah, but you know, renting is 100% interest, you know, whatever. I can see that standpoint. But then also I see some people where they're not being tied down and they can up and leave whenever they want. You break this, that, what, you know, there's a lot more flexible. So I see both strategies and both styles depending on who they are. But it's education, man. People don't know what they don't know till they know it. So you start coming up with some of these offers that start educating people on why this would be a smart move for them. It's like, hey, have you ever thought about, you know, you got, and going back to speaking specifically into geographical areas, as now, you know, comps. You already sold a house or you already helped someone buy a house or help someone sell a house in this neighborhood. You know what these comps are. So now you're able to talk directly to these neighborhoods with a little bit more authority and with a little bit more education. Say, hey, we just sold, you know, what would an extra $50,000 in your pocket look like, right? And you start to get someone's attention to say, we just sold the Williams house for $50,000 over ask and closed on it in 72 hours. If I could put an extra 50 grand in your pocket in the next 3 days, what would that do with your life? Now, you're not asking someone, hey, do you want to sell your house? Right. You're asking someone if they would love to have an extra 50 grand in their pocket in the next 3 days. Now, boom, that 3% starts raising. And you have the ability, that ladder basically breaks down. I want to say it's 13%. Typically, not industry specific, but generically 13%. Just don't already know that they don't want your offer. Maybe they just bought a house, or maybe they just sold a house or something like that. But that would be that 13% that just genuinely doesn't care, that knows without a shadow of a doubt, that cannot be convinced otherwise. So now we're talking about broadening your demographics from 3% to whatever, what's that math? 87%, 83%, whatever that remaining balance is, all by changing your messaging, changing your offer, and what that looks and sounds like. So now we're taking them down this journey. And a lot of times too, when it comes to the educational portion of things, people there's a statistic. It's like 87% of people, something like, or 84, I think. If you can ask a question better than I can ask it, I will assume that you have the answer. So when we start looking at some of this messaging and some of these strategies, when we build out offers or build out hooks or whatever the case is, we start finding ways to strategically ask questions that someone's like, damn, like I kind of thought that, but I never even processed how to ask that question that well. Now I'm going to automatically assume Chris or someone from Chris's team knows the answer to achieve that. And with your industry, again, that's we start talking about you know, a 1% swing on a $500,000 house is still a lot of fucking money. It is still worth a conversation to me. So you're in an opportunity to leverage these high tickets that you offer, whether that is a sell or whether that is a purchase, because statistically, people spend money in one of three ways. People will spend money to make money. Obviously, the strategy there is to make more money than they spend. People will spend money to save money. So again, spend money to save even more, or spend money to save time. And so if you can arrange your messaging around those things, hey, let me tell you how our team is helped the Williams make X amount of more money than they expected or than they, you know, whatever. Hey, let me show you how my team helped the Williamses save Y amount of money, you know, more than they were expecting, or, you know, how my team helped the Williamses save Z amount of time. And your offer can offer all those options. You can help people get more money out of their house. You can help people save more money at closing. You can help people save more time in showings or this or that, or closing the gap on that, because, you know, and buying and selling a house, it sounds painful. You know, when I
Yeah.
it sounds like fucking nails on a chalkboard. And strategizing and producing your market or your offers around that is how you can really help. People don't know what they don't know until they know it. I was consulting and working with a car dealership once. We stopped, dude, bro. Nowadays, people know more about these houses or more about these cars than you do, right? Like, because you're having to learn all of these options, they're learning one specific one that they love. So, anyways, we changed the messaging to stop talking about the fucking features on the F-150 and start talking about how we could get you in and out in under an hour in a brand new vehicle. Most people, when they think about going to buy a brand new car, they're thinking about being there all fucking day, being stuck with some dumbass fucking car salesman that all he cares about is his commission check, this, that, whatever. So you start reframing some of this stuff. So now for you, it's like, all right, cool. I wanted to sell my house, or I thought about making all this XYZ money in short amount of time, this, that, whatever. But the pain threshold to go through that is pushing me away.
Right.
There's a parable about this guy that walks past a house with a gentleman sitting on the porch and a dog on the front porch, and the dog's crying. Well, the man walks by, goes about his day, and comes back. And as he walks back by, the dog's sitting there crying still. So he asked the man on the porch, he's like, what's wrong with your dog? And he goes, he's laying on a nail. And he's like, what the fuck? Why didn't he get up? And he goes, well, I guess it just doesn't hurt him bad enough to get up. So it's like this, like people may want to, they may want to sell their house or may need to sell their house, or, you know, maybe there is some, they need to free up some cash or whatever. But the pain of thinking about going through the fucking process of hiring a realtor and putting it up for market and doing this and doing that is too painful for them to take action, which is getting off the nail, which is putting their house up for sale or going and buying a house, because they just fucking don't know. But now Chris comes in and helps educate them on how it's not as big, scary, big ass problem like they've already worked it up to be, this monster in their head. what are some of your thoughts based around some of that stuff? I know that's like a fuck ton.
Oh, it's a lot of shit, but you're hitting it on the head, because a lot of this is education, and that's where we are with our local communities. We're explaining, the market conditions, how it goes right now. I come to them with the concierge service of movers, of lawyers, of every title company, everything you need. You just give us a ring, and we'll have the solution for you. So we need to get rid of that pain, because a lot of my clients, they've lived in their house for 20 years, 25 years. They got to move. They got to get shit out of the house. It's a big fucking effort. Like, it's a huge thing. And there's emotions tucked in there. So you got to focus in on their emotion, on their motivation, and make sure they're focused on that, and explain that this is not as horrible as it sounds. You have a team of people that are ready to help you through every aspect of this. In my market, people move on an average of every 7 to 8 years. So I can get 2 or 3 sales out of them as long as I grasp them and keep them in my universe for years. My follow-up's got to be a long time, and it could take 6, 8, 9 months to close a prospect to get them to sign a listing paper. So these are long-term relationship-based sales, and that's how you got to go about it, is education and value on around the clock on all levels, to make sure they understand that I am the local agent that you have to call, and that's how it's got to be approached. So you're 100% right in most of it. And look, the average house that we sell here is, sorry, the phone keeps ringing. It's over 600. Yeah, it's over $600,000. So even on the low end, that's a $12K commission for us. So it's worth the investment and the time and the effort. And that's how it goes around here. You got to be the local expert, and you have to come at it with a different angle too, because like you said, man, I'm getting 5 postcards a day in my mailbox from these realtors around here, and they're all saying, look at this sale, we're #1, I sold this for over list. And it's all noise, man. It's all bullshit. But there's a lot of people that see that and call. So you got to approach it from a different angle, like you were saying, and give them the value, so there is no question that's who you have to call.
No,
and I go to school pickup. 5 of the other moms that are picking up the kids the days that I go, they're all realtors too, but they ain't doing shit. They ain't selling any houses. They're not doing anything, but they're taking business when a friend needs to sell a house, and they're not getting the most they can for that client. So it hurts us.
Yep, no doubt. Well, so there's a few things to unpack here. And I want to write my own notes to make sure I cover it. So first things first is increasing your ACV, increasing your LTV, which is your average cart value, lifetime value. So we're gonna use some round numbers here. 12 grand per deal. If you get 12K, boom, that's great. And we're just gonna use round numbers and say that, all right, cool. You get 2 on average. You can get 2 closes per client. So now the lifetime value is 24 grand, right? Of each deal you close. That for me is worth investing some money to establishing a relationship with them, right? And a few of and also to take into consideration that the average person, 87% of people will give you a referral if simply asked, right? And a referral is going to close 4 times easier than a cold lead or even a warm lead. So there should be a lot of attention on developing, a process to nurture them into these referrals, which is all these fucking soccer moms that you're waiting in school lines with are getting. They're doing the same thing. Oh, I've got a 3,500 square foot house with a 2-car garage for $590,000. No one gives a fuck, bro. I'll just get on fucking realtor.com and go find something, and find the closest person to me that I trust that happens to have their real estate license.
Right.
It's you're doing nothing for me. But Next, let's start looking at pain points that people have and find ways to develop your offer based on alleviating those pain points in the thought process of buying or selling a home, and then create relationships to get referral bonuses from other industry leaders and or become referral partners. So for example, you made the comment earlier, can't remember exactly what it was, but we're just gonna it triggered like, all right, let's create a referral partner and an affiliate with a moving company. So now it's like, all right, Chris ain't just gonna sell my house and then I'm stuck figuring it the fuck out. And now I have an option to also alleviate I know, like, and trust Chris. I know that Chris isn't going to refer me to someone that's a piece of shit. I know I can trust that referral. So now you can push someone to a moving company, let that moving company pack them up, ship them, this, that, whatever. Maybe they can get a special rate that you can't get just by going on their website, this, that, whatever. And then Chris gets a fucking kickback. So now, let's say, for example, they're able to land a $10,000 deal or $15,000 deal, and they throw you an extra $1,500. And let's say you can average, or let's just say you're on average, you may only close 50% on a referral or this, that, whatever. But now let's just say on average, you're getting an extra $1,000 on average per close you get on a kickback from a moving company. Well, now you just turned your 12K commission up $1,000. What is that, 8% or something like that? You just got like an 8% bonus just by passing some fucking business off to a homie that like, and trust. And now the people that know, like, and trust you can know, like, and trust them.
You can build that out with a bunch of different. We build that out with a bunch of different services too. Homeowners insurance. You got like you said, the service personnel, maintenance personnel, roofers, all that shit, man.
Bro, build that fucking list out and give that to those people every fucking time. And y'all might be doing that, but now you can start to do a math problem and figure out what those averages are so you can add that to your average cart value. Then what we do is we look at lifetime value. All right, we established right now that the lifetime value of a client is 24 grand. Let's call it 25 grand. And now that we've focused on adding in the math of like these little kickbacks that we get. So let's call it 25 grand. Well, what we got to do now is find a way to get that that lifetime value to where you were saying, like, 7 to 9 years or whatever the case is. Now let's find a way to get them to buy from you from instead of an average of twice in their lifetime to 2.5 times. So now we're at our lifetime value goes from, what is that, 25 grand? What I think, if my math is right, it'll be 12, 5. Let's just say on average, it's that bumps it from 25 grand in the lifetime of them to let's just use round numbers and call it 30 grand.
Right.
So now
Huge.
it's a massive difference. But see, now once we start doing this math, we can reverse engineer it to see how much money we can actually spend on realistically marketing. Because if your cost per acquisition for these marketing or for these leads, it might be $1,000 per lead, and you might let's say you might close them at let's just say 50% rate. So cost per lead, 50% rate. What is that? That makes what your cost per conversion at what, $2,000, I think. Yeah. So now you got a cost per conversion of $2 grand to make fucking 12 grand, dog. Or actually, realistically, to make 30 grand, because
you only do it once.
You only do it once. So now you've got $28,000 to play with over the lifetime of your relationship with them to invest in spending good, hard fucking money based on what we've learned. The average, referral, 87% of people will give you a referral fast and they close 4 times better. So now if they close 4 times better, that's like cutting that $2,000 cost per conversion in a quarter. So now it's only $500. So now you got $1,500 in excess you could fucking spend on just cultivating a relationship with these people just for a fucking referral. But not only that, now you know you got $28,000 to play with over the next however many years to actually, and that's per fucking close to build out a program to truly get them to know, like, and trust you. And there's so many damn companies that you can automate these sequences with, where you can send them shit on their fucking birthdays. You can send them shit. And I'm not talking about a motherfucking postcard, dog. I'm talking about a $200 or $300 fucking go out, take your wife to our favorite fucking restaurant, this, that, whatever. I'm talking some big badass fucking super, super thoughtful gifts. I'm not talking about like just a fucking basket of fucking chocolates. I'm like really thinking about something that could go into. And what's cool about this is you can now start establishing all this shit as a write-off. So you're either going to give it to fucking Uncle Sam, or you're going to do it to help increase your average cart value and your lifetime value. You're establishing a way, way, way stronger relationship. And also it's really fucking cool, bro. Let's think about this. And let's even think about some of your higher class clientele. Let's call it, you know, your $750,000 to $1 million homes, right? Bro, I want to have relationships with people that can afford to spend that fucking much money, because all the rest of the doors that opens, because they got friends that can afford this. So now, bro, I can't tell you how many of my homies I know that actually that they, you know, sell luxury watches, Rolexes, APs, Petites, like the whole 9 yards, fucking Richard Milley's and shit like that. They sell this shit, not, you know, and some of them can make, bro, some of them can make some guap flipping these watches, but they don't do it really for the money. They do it for the people that can afford to spend that. Dude, one of the guys in one of my group chats, dude had an AP stolen off his wrist. Or actually, I think it was a Richard Milley at this last UFC fights. It was $250,000 watch, and it was uninsured. And this dude literally just chalked it up. Like he took it to the chin and was like, yeah, bro, like fucking lesson learned. And I was like, holy shit, bro. Who are the fucking motherfuckers that can lose a $250,000 watch and like not even be fucked up about it? But these are the people that they're establishing these relationships with. So you start really, 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 really spending some time and effort on how to establish relationships with these people that can afford these $750,000 homes, $1 million homes. Now that lifetime value almost becomes infinitely possible because of the doors that can open and release. So, man, I think that there's a lot of opportunities here, you know, for you to really start really thinking about what is that lifetime value, what is the average cart value, and how can you start taking that into consideration to find ways to deepen those relationships, not only for the referrals, but also what, you know, can come in the future. But then also, bro, you got to think about the fucking types of reviews you're going to start getting and stuff when people are like, bro, like I started a relationship with Chris just to be a fucking realtor. And we became like motherfucking homies now.
Right.
You know, we were like, I really fuck with this dude. Like I come to all his events now, you know, all these block parties he's hosting and all these, you know, fundraisers he's doing. And every time he is, you know, puts himself out there to being a part of the community, I'm fucking there, you know. This is really going to start creating some market separation over the, you know, fucking Instagram realtor that all she cares about is how many likes she gets on her fucking TikTok.
They're all over the place, man. That's what we're surrounded by here. It's fucking wild. But yeah, you're 100% right, man. You hit all the right points, man. You got to have gift giving. You got to have follow up. You got to have a, you know, referral system that goes years into the future. You got to call and ask for the referrals, and you got to be there, man. You got to be there. That's how you give your value.
Fuck yeah, bro. Well, I want to be cognizant of your time, bro. I know that you know, we got started a little late, and I apologize for that. But do you have any questions or anything before we kind of hop off here?
No, bro. I mean, you hit it on the head. I appreciate the time and the advice, man. It was all great. You're right on the money, man. You're 100% on the money as far as how you got to separate yourself and what the results could be, man. The numbers are staggering in this game because it is high ticket.
Yep. No, for sure, man. Well, bro,
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, dude, absolutely, man. I love doing this kind of stuff. We're homies. You're in Uncaged. I'm here for you. If you have any questions after this, bro, obviously, you know how to get a hold of me. I'm here to help you in any way I can, bro.
I know that, and I appreciate that. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it, man.
Absolutely. You too, man. We'll talk soon. I'll see you later tonight on the call.
See you later.
Right, bye.